Throughout much of the 20th century, the Scottish Tawse, commonly referred to as the belt or the strap, formed an established part of discipline in many schools. Although straps were manufactured in a variety of sizes, weights and levels of severity, the vast majority of teachers owned and relied upon a single Tawse throughout their careers. A small number of teachers kept more than one strap available. In these cases, a lighter Tawse might be reserved for younger pupils or for relatively minor disciplinary matters, while a heavier version could be used for older pupils or for offences regarded as more serious. However, such practices were the exception rather than the rule. Most teachers became familiar with one particular Tawse and used it consistently. When purchasing a Tawse at the beginning of their teaching careers, many teachers carefully considered the age group they expected to teach. Those working with younger children generally selected a lighter, more flexible strap that was considered appropriate for primary-aged pupils, whereas teachers in secondary schools often chose a heavier model intended for older teenagers. Personal preference also played a part, with some teachers selecting a particular style simply because it was the model they had experienced themselves as pupils, or because it was widely respected for its quality and durability. Despite using identical equipment, no two teachers administered corporal punishment in exactly the same manner. Some teachers possessed a natural ability to deliver a firm, controlled stroke that immediately commanded respect, while others applied the Tawse with considerably less force. As a result, the severity of a punishment often depended as much upon the individual teacher as it did upon the type of strap being used. Among the many models available, the Lochgelly 24-inch, two-tail heavy school Tawse became one of the most familiar sights in Scottish schools. Manufactured from thick, durable leather, it was designed with an unusually long handle. This extended grip allowed the teacher to hold the Tawse at different points along its length. Holding the handle closer to the tails increased the speed and force of the stroke, while gripping it further back reduced the effective striking length, enabling a lighter application when appropriate. This simple design feature gave experienced teachers a considerable degree of control over the punishment they intended to administer. The number of strokes was another important consideration. Depending upon the circumstances, a teacher might impose anything from a single stroke to a maximum of 6. Factors such as the seriousness of the offence, the pupil's age, previous behaviour, and whether the misconduct was judged to be deliberate or repeated, were often taken into account before a decision was made. A first offence might receive only 1 or 2 strokes accompanied by a stern warning, whereas repeated acts of defiance, dishonesty, or serious disruption could result in a heavier punishment. Teachers also exercised judgment regarding the force of each stroke. This discretion meant that corporal punishment could range from little more than a symbolic reminder of authority to a punishment intended to leave a lasting impression on the pupil. Within the disciplinary framework of the time, this flexibility was regarded as allowing teachers to match the punishment to the nature of the offence, rather than applying a rigid, one-size-fits-all approach. Responsibility for maintaining discipline generally rested with the classroom teacher. In most schools, it was considered both a professional duty and an important part of classroom management. Consequently, it was relatively uncommon for pupils to be sent elsewhere to receive corporal punishment. Referring a pupil to another member of staff could be interpreted as an indication that the teacher was unable to maintain authority within the classroom, while also taking up the valuable time of colleagues. Most disciplinary matters were therefore dealt with by the class teacher herself. Only occasionally would a pupil be referred to another teacher or a senior member of staff. This usually occurred when the offence was considered particularly serious, when repeated misconduct had exhausted the classroom teacher's normal disciplinary measures, or when the pupil had openly challenged the teacher's authority by refusing to accept punishment or by displaying persistent defiance. In such cases, a male head teacher or senior teacher might administer the punishment personally. Being summoned to the head teacher's office was widely regarded as a significant escalation, and for many pupils the prospect alone served as a powerful deterrent. In schools where the head teacher firmly supported classroom discipline, Such referrals reinforced the authority of individual teachers by demonstrating that the senior leadership stood behind their decisions. Nevertheless, practices varied considerably from school to school. Some head teachers expected classroom teachers to deal with all but the most exceptional disciplinary cases, while others preferred to become directly involved whenever serious misconduct occurred. Individual attitudes also differed, with some senior staff favouring the use of the Tawse as an important disciplinary tool, whereas others encouraged teachers to resolve behavioural problems through alternative methods whenever possible. Ultimately, the administration of the Tawse depended upon a combination of school policy, individual judgment, and professional discretion. The type of strap selected, the number of strokes given, the force applied, and the circumstances surrounding each incident all contributed to ensuring that no two punishments were necessarily identical, even within the same school. For many decades, this flexibility was regarded by teachers and school authorities as an essential feature of maintaining discipline in Scottish classrooms.